Conduct which disrupts the board meeting is prohibited, and we kindly ask that all attendees adhere to these rules.
We've already sent that letter, and I
Supervisor
didn't know
Garment,
that until
like
I.
to finish. It's your board report time. It's up to you.
Go ahead, Supervisor Rickert.
Talked to a lot of people. I'm trying to get
Email.
a lot of. Yeah, it was email, so it didn't cost the county any money.
I spent money out of my own pocket.
Supervisor Crye, you mentioned that you are down that path. If you'd like to elaborate real quick on that. So.
I'll elaborate because, I mean, this is what just finish your board report. Supervisor Garment, I'd rather just have my time, so I want you to have yours.
Okay. All right. That's all I've got.
And I just want to say that.
Thank you, Supervisor Garment. I appreciate it. Supervisor Rickert.
Just so you know.
Well, it's a shame you weren't at the chamber meeting then. All right. I'm
just going to tell you.
Supervisor Rickert, if you don't mind, I'd like to jump into my
Okay, you're going to cut me off.
All right. So I think you need to continue supporting small business and going to those.
I just asked.
Oh, Supervisor Rickert, go ahead.
Yes, I just asked that, I did not experience this when years ago on the board.
Because the boardroom was closed.
No. Excuse me.
I would like to finish my report if I could, Supervisor Rickert.
I'm just saying that I think it's appropriate that it's a professional courtesy if you're going to hold events in another supervisor's district, at least alert them and invite them.
Out of respect for you, you were on medical leave, so I didn't bother you. You were, at that time, I had heard, maybe not coming back. So.
Well, you can't believe everything you hear.
Well, you were on medical leave. Anyway, here nor there. Record Searchlight, most of this stuff is crap. People are smart. There's people that are so devious. And I'm not going to put us in danger where some individual can benefit by gaming the system.
I had about 30 people. I had people from forestry world.
Supervisor Larmer, or Council Larmer, I think this needs to be agendized.
Well, but you have to get organized. You can't just invite one or two people. You've got to have your
Supervisor
team
Rickert,
behind
can we wrap it up, if you don't mind? Well, I mean, this is supposed to be agendized, and that's why Council Larmer's been flashing.
Well, you've been talking about it, so I just thought you were able to talk and nobody interrupted you. Let's have equal treatment here. We have to be all working together, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You good? All right, moving on to R2.
To the extent where I think LA County may hold the record, and they've made, I want to say, 85 amendments to their charter. 87, thank you, Chair.
So maybe it is 85. All right, okay, check it out.
My research says 85.
Okay. I would go with that.
We can split the difference and go with 86. Incrementally passed and add pieces to it so that the electorate has the opportunity to vote on individual pieces of the charter to be added.
The electorate votes.
Yeah.
What I'd say, Supervisor Garment, you know what, I'll let everybody finish. Supervisor Rickert.
Begins.
We're going to take as many as it takes.
This is where we should have put it all together in the beginning. We should have taken more time and written it up properly for the voters to completely understand. And I will be voting no because I think we rushed it through.
I think it's great. I would just say I've never seen people so afraid of the electorate making decisions in my life. Supervisor Jones.
Supervisor Rickert?
No.
Supervisor Kellstrom?
Yes.
Supervisor Crye?
Yes.
Supervisor Jones?
Yes.
And Supervisor Garment?
No.
Passes 3-2.
CEO Rickert, have you had any conversations with Mr. Tippin on this subject?
Hey, 1 second. Council Larmer, do we have to finish public comment before we bring it back to board discussion?
Yes, before board discussion.
Yes, that's
I didn't know there wasn't a public
So, yeah, well.
Why do you want to spend money to go one way?
This is about the Joint Powers Authority for the airport. So it's not about a specific, it's about that item.
Well, it's about spending $100,000 for that, right?
No, it's not.
Okay, I'm just always concerned about general fund monies.
There's also 1.2 million in, I believe, TOT tax that's out there that hasn't been allocated properly. Supervisor Garment.
Well, I'm here for Judy Menor, and also to say that because of this behavior of yours, Kevin, to almost automatically belittle and smear anyone who opposes you, it would cause an honorable man to resign. You said with 4 meetings with Judith were all, quote, filled with lies, unquote. It's such a smear. Judy Menor, I've gotten to know her pretty well. She arranged for me a meal train for 30 days while I had my Achilles tendon surgery. You have no idea what that kindness meant to me. You're like the high school bully who bullies the librarian who's been there for 50 years helping people. You're shameless. I feel sorry for you. You besmirched yourself again, just like with the woman you fat-shamed here publicly and never sought her out afterwards. And just like the last year, for the 4 or 5 months, you were up and down the valley telling people in the towns how the recall group was opposed to your faith. We were opposed to your family. We were opposed to your country. You were teaching them bigotry and hate for their own communities. The same smears as with Judy. These statements are extraordinarily dishonorable. And each time I confronted you about them at this podium, you were always quiet as a church mouse about smearing us. You kept telling people that our group was opposed to your faith. That might be immoral to say that. That we were opposed to your country. You should immediately apologize to all of our veterans for that outrageous statement. That's just messed up. And you never took any of it back, ever, once. That's what's most messed up in your soul. And now Judy Menor. These are all stupid and outrageous statements. You have a vindictiveness that pushes us all away from each other. You are a divider, plain and simple. And that's been your record since your first official act, creating division and rancor through defamations and disrespect. You know, you always have had the opportunities for grace, but you never take them. Nothing gets through your armor. Instead, you seem to be believing your own lies and half-lies. Your narcissism is ugly. So what I'm saying is, these are the reasons you shouldn't be in public office. You should resign immediately. See, what happened was, you ended up following the wrong sense of duty. You chose the wrong one. And when you smear broad numbers of people in the community over a period of time, you do a reprehensible disservice to that entire community. You provoke, you smear.
Margaret Hanson, followed by Lacey, followed by James.
Thank you.
So I will respond. Just the thing about when it comes to public health and anybody making any decisions for anything, if it's not rooted in what I believe are the principles that guide what a person in terms of public health, how they defend children, how they act towards children, how they believe a person's life should be lived in terms of health. And you're going to see there's other people coming with different backgrounds in C4 today. Of course, Supervisor Rickert pulled that, and we will discuss that. Board discussion. Supervisor Rickert.
I was going to say, there's board discussion.
I understand that. I think one of the things, may I, Supervisor Rickert, can I answer?
Well, I wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to, go ahead.
Would you speculate that might be? Because I'm always worried about spending money unnecessarily.
$7,000 to $10,000.
Can't believe that.
I'll believe it. Yes, sir.
Ultimately, this is a discussion item to bring something back. So you would receive a contract with the scope of work and the top dollar amount that would be allowed in the contract.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you, County Council.
Okay.
And I think that's why I say this to me was just, when you use the word audit, that raises red flags.
We'll take out audit.
Of huge dollars.
We'll take out audit. Supervisor Garman.
Chair, I believe you have one public comment card.
Oh, Dolores Lucero. My bad. Well, I'm working on something that's going to save us well over $300,000 or $400,000,
Well,
and I'm just a gym owner.
Yeah, I know.
And
Questionable and inconsistent. He's had problems, and I don't know if this is the appropriate
I understand
appointment. And
I'm going to vote for a convicted felon in November. So, all right, Supervisor Garman.
Well, but that's, you have to be consistent. You replaced Judy Menor because you didn't like what she did, and you voted against Nathan for the commission's election because you didn't think he was a good moral character. And so, which one is it?
Supervisor Garman.
I'm not quite sure what your motivation is to remove Mr. Garman from this position. That's my question.
Well, part of the other thing, too, Supervisor Rickert, was when you were out in April or March, April, May, or whatever point that was.
No, I was not out in March, April, May.
Well, you were whatever. You were out for a couple months.
Three meetings.
Okay, over this, whatever the amount of time was, but there was conversations about you felt your workload. You asked for appointments.
Yes.
No, you did. You asked for appointments. I took appointments away from Supervisor Kellstrom, gave them to you, and then you complained about the workload. So this was an opportunity to say, hey.
When did I complain about the workload?
You did it publicly, and then.
Where did I publicly complain about the workload? I thanked you because I appreciated the fact that
Supervisor Rickert,
I've never
I'm trying to be
complained
very.
about him. I've never. Please don't put words in my mouth.
Please don't respond from the floor. I mean, if anybody wants to do the work of pulling that up, like it's very
Oh,
documented.
there will be people that will pull it up.
Okay, great. So
That takes away the argument that Tim needs to be removed for Chris to attend the meeting, so he can attend whether Tim's on or not. So I don't understand why you want to remove him.
we're looking through quite a few Supervisor Rickert appointments. I mean, here's
why
here's
are you
here's
removing
I mean,
him?
but okay, so
The reason that you gave me for removing him was just
I know
debated.
I gave my reason. I told you why. I, as the chair, I mean that's my prerogative. And if there's the votes,
But
we're going to vote on it.
I know you're going to vote on it. We probably know how it's going to turn out. But the point is, Supervisor Kellstrom can still be involved, as can Supervisor Garmin. He doesn't need to be removed.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a roll call vote. Stephanie, we'll start with Supervisor Garmin to my right.
Supervisor Garmin?
No.
Supervisor Jones?
Yes.
Supervisor Crye?
Yes.
Supervisor Kellstrom?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rickert?
No.
Passes 3-2.
Well, the truck charges.
And cattlemen aren't going to want to do that because then you're potentially exposed cattle to other diseases.
Yes.
So I could go on for a couple hours on that one, but we'll stop right there.
You're going to be hard pressed to find anybody in this county that knows more than Supervisor Rickert about cattle.
And I don't really understand that. I think Garmin picked Nate because he thought it would be nice.
Hey Jenny, this is on R9.
I suppose I'm bringing it up because it appears to be retaliatory that you wish to take away funds for him to go to the RCRC so that to kind of prove a point that you didn't like what he did.
Supervisor Rickert, you have, and if anybody would like to take a tour, I will take them upstairs and show them from the outside glass your office, my office, Kellstrom's office, Jones's office, and Garmin's. And yours, by far, has the most stuff in it. And you said you were done, but you're
I
back in
did, but
queue.
you mentioned about me politicizing this, and I think you're the one that mentioned my name twice last week in your board report when it wasn't even on the agenda. So don't give me the I'm politicizing it when you were the one, sir, that was doing that.
Okay. So we'll take a roll call vote. Stephanie, we'll start to my left with Supervisor Rickert.
Chair, can you please clarify the motion?
Who
Who would you like me to start with? I apologize.
Supervisor Garmin.
Supervisor Garmin?
No.
Supervisor Jones?
Yes.
Supervisor Crye?
Yes.
Supervisor Kellstrom?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rickert?
Absolutely not.
Passes 3-2.
This is just another one that was it was put in the consent calendar.
Well, if we want to pull it, Supervisor Rickert, if you're against the voters.
No,
having
I'm
to
just
say-
saying I'm voting no.
Okay.
I'm not against the voters. This is a change, and I'm not against the voters.
Well, it goes to
You're
the voters.
putting words in my mouth.
It goes to the voters. All right, so Supervisor Rickert is voting no on C2. Stephanie, please make sure you make a note of that.
Well, that's what I thought I was supposed to be talking about that.
No, we pulled it. All right, so we're,
not gonna discuss it.
again, so we have a motion to approve the consent calendar minus C4, which is pulled, Supervisor Rickert. And now we're going to take C4. So Supervisor Rickert, or was it Supervisor Garmin that pulled C4? Supervisor Rickert pulled C4. Supervisor Rickert.
Okay, do we want to do public comment first?
No, go ahead and explain why you pulled it. Or they had to have a card in for that, correct? Yeah, okay.
So the policy would need to be followed essentially because they wouldn't know that the item was going to be pulled oftentimes ahead of time.
Okay.
You would have to have some leniency in that policy.
Perfect. Go ahead.
See, I know my rights, you don't. That's what you need to pay attention. You don't know some of the rules. So you talk about,
Broken clock is right once or twice a day.
be quiet. I'm so sick of you. Please do not
I get-
interrupt. Do not interrupt me.
Stephanie.
Cut her mic.
Go ahead, cut it. You violating my civil rights to speak.
Thank you. Moving on.
No.